Welcome back to the RC Wrench Bench. It's been a little while since we've put any new videos out. And just going to do a quick one this afternoon. You know, it's a busy time of year, holiday season, but also a couple of back-to-back weekends of races, which were good, and also a couple of challenges. So I've got the buggy, the two-wheel X-Ray XB2. That's the 2025 Carpet Edition. I did a build series on it a little while ago, so check that out if you're interested. So I ran into a little bit of a problem 2 weekends ago. I was at a race and a track that I don't go to often. It's a fairly large track. I think the straight was 60 or 70 feet. Anyway, so during practice, I came down the straight, which then had a turn, 180-degree turn, that looped right back around. And when I got down to the end of the straight and turned right into that 180, I had what felt like a servo glitch. I've never experienced that before. But the car stayed full lock, even though my steering input had, turned it straightened back out. And it stayed locked just long enough, just a fraction of a second, to shoot me over the pipe and back onto the straightaway sideways. Just as another racer during practice came down at top speed in a two-wheel drive mod car and nailed me absolutely broadside. So wrinkled up this body, chipped all kinds of paint out of it. But more than anything, I was just concerned that, this guy had some damage to his car, and it was a bummer. Not a good moment. So that was before the race weekend even started, just during practice. So I suddenly had lost confidence in my system as far as the electronics go. So I just decided to start doing some troubleshooting and tried to start with the least expensive thing first. Just to give you a sense of where we're at electronics wise with this buggy. I've got a Tekin RS Gen 3. I've got a cap pack on there. This is a Sanwa receiver, the FH5 one. What is this? 492i. And then the servo is a pretty standard race servo, the ProTek 160 TBL. And that's a new servo. I've only run it a handful of times. I know it's a very popular servo. So I don't know if there was a combination of this speed control receiver and servo that, causes some problems. If anybody else runs this exact combo, I'm curious to hear your experiences. So anyway, I checked out the hobby shop and I was like, all right, I'm doubtful that the issue is the servo. It's brand new. This speed control, I've run it for quite a while with different servos with no issue. And, since well before I had this particular buggy, I ran these electronics on my previous buggy, not the servo. And the receiver, I've had that for a while with no problems there. So in the end, I wasn't 100% sure of why I had this glitch, but I knew that I couldn't have it happen again. So I decided to start with cheap things, which were, number one, double checking all my radio settings and recalibrating the radio, double checking my endpoints, and just making sure there wasn't any obvious setting errors. And then I went in the hobby shop and looked for a glitch buster. I've never run a glitch buster. I've never had any issue with glitching before. It really kind of freaked me out. So they had the ProTek glitch buster in there, which is kind of a fairly sizable piece here. It's not heavy. I just put it on the scale. It's 6 grams. Previously, I had a 5-gram weight right in front of the servo, so I was able to take that out. Anyway, so it came with a longer lead, but I shortened it up. And I'm no electronics specialist, but my understanding is that this essentially acts as a buffer to prevent dips in voltage. Somebody else can clarify that has more experience or knowledge than I do. But to provide a more constant load and prevent those dips when your servo might be pulling some amps. So I installed this. On the receiver here, you know, I've got the speed control, the servo, motor fan, transponder, which is, you know, it's a 4-channel receiver. I wasn't sure if this would work in the bind plug port, but I did just a little bit of research and found that it should. So I plugged this into the bind port, ran it the rest of that weekend, not a single problem. The following weekend, I went to another race, left it in there, ran it all weekend for practice and, you know, 3 qualifiers and a main, and never had another issue. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that for whatever reason, this combo of electronics might lend itself to glitching. I'm assuming, I haven't run the servo very long, I'm assuming maybe it was really under load and pulling more amps than normal, and that may have caused the glitch. But I will tell you that ever since that happened and I put in this glitch buster, no problems at all. So if anybody has any experience with glitch busters, using them, not using them, or otherwise diagnosing a glitch like that, please put it in the comments. I'll put a link to this in the description, but this is the ProTek PTK 2950 glitch buster. I think it was less than $5. And it seems to have been the fix. And if it wasn't the fix, ever since I put it in, everything worked great, and so I'm going to leave it in. So anyway, there you go. 1 race weekend, disaster, put in the glitch buster, no problems after that. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a great time getting out there racing. I know it's carpet season all over the country. Enjoy the racing. Subscribe if you like the videos. Check out my other build videos on the buggy. Make any suggestions in the comments, and get out there and do some racing.